Podcast is intended for mature audiences. The views and opinions expressed are those of the panelists and do not reflect in any way those of the podcast partners, sponsors, or affiliates. Enjoy.
ThaBoxingvoice.com.
What broke him down? Was it just the body punching? I was hitting him with body punching. I heard him actually, he was crying in there. You were saying that Gibbs was crying when you hit him? Yes. When did that happen? And perhaps the fourth round on.
ThaBoxingvoice.com.
So you knew you had him by that time. Absolutely, but I knew he was tough and taking those punches.
Productions.
Making women gestures like, oh.
Let's go, champ.
It's the Champ. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another spontaneous show of the Boxing Voice Radio. I am your host, Nestor Gibbs. Find us here, hashtag TBV Boxing Podcast. Actually, I said that wrong. It's TBV Podcast. But we're back. What I won't get wrong is this exciting news. Danny Garcia sounding extremely confident, sounding like a Errol Spence fight is the perfect fight for him, or should I quote a great fight for me? I mean, does this mean that he'll take it in July in Dallas? It is a title shot. If you can get past what the world is considering Brandon Rios to be a tune-up, is this the perfect setup for a Errol Spence? Get Brandon first, then right into an Errol Spence. This is what we're going to be talking about right around here. We'll be giving you some direct quotes from Danny Garcia and, giving you information as where you can find this article yourself. We're going to head on out to our co-host, Matthew, the Hipster Hunter. Oh.
No. Michael Johnson, how you feel about it? Fuck that. Conor McGregor.
ThaBoxingvoice.com.
You know me, Larry. From a wicked entrance, from a flip over the rope to a knockout now. When the main thing is, I just hope the guy, I wish.
ThaBoxingvoice.com.
Yes, the hipsters here. Haters beware. Hey, do me. Oh, that was a little bit low. There you go. Some gunshots for you. Love you, bro. But we're back. We're back with another show, another edition. Danny Garcia, Errol Spence Jr. Danny Garcia definitely talking greasy, definitely talking some smack to Errol Spence. To me, Danny Garcia, since he has started doing some more media in this build to the fight, has definitely seemed confident. Has definitely seemed like a guy that isn't, mentally defeated off of his first loss. He seems like he has a chip on his shoulder. He seems like he knows everyone's counting him out, and he wants those big fights. I think he just wants this tune-up out of the way, just to get, this long layoff off and behind him. And then I think he's probably right. If these names are in front of him, Danny's probably taking these fights. So I can't wait to chop it up. Can't wait to chop it up with the panel and the callers. Should be fun.
Well, let's head on back to right here in the studios. We got Doomsday, Lainez.
I'm the best ever. I'm the most brutal and vicious and most ruthless champion there's ever been. There's no one to stop me. Lynch is a conqueror. No, I'm Alexander. He's no Alexander. I'm the best ever. There's never been anybody. I'm Sonny Liston. I'm Jack Dippy. There's no one like me. I'm from their cloth. There's no one that can match me. My style is impetuous. My defense is impregnable. And I'm just ferocious. I want your heart. Get up!
ThaBoxingvoice.com.
What's going on? I like this topic right now because, Earl's saying that, a lot of people were not, taking the fights. They're running from him. And now Danny's saying that would be a great matchup for him. So, it's I'm curious to see how this progresses and if maybe we get a good fight out of it, right?
Agreed.
Definitely agree, man. Definitely agree. I was shocked. I'll be honest, when the associate producer slid this one across the desk, I said, nah, I gotta read this myself. I gotta see, because I didn't understand, but then I got it. Danny is this way. His father and he are old-fashioned. The same way they moved up to 47, by doing what older fighters before them, have done by doing a few catch weights before actually fighting at the weight, getting acclimated to the weight. And we're seeing it again. These could be signs of the Garcia family showing you that they're preparing themselves for a big fight. When they fought Keith one-time Thurman, they had a Samuel Vargas tune-up right before. No one wants to go into an elite level fight off of a 9-month, ring rust or layoff. I mean, Danny Garcia is going to be returning to the ring for the first time on February 17th at the Mandalay Bay Event Center in Las Vegas when he takes on Brandon Reels, after losing a 12-round unanimous decision to Keith Thurman all the way back in March 2017 at the Barclays Center, guys. So it's been a long time since he's been in the ring. He needs something to get at least the juices flowing before he gets in there with an Errol Spence Jr. Am I right?
Of course, when you're taking a year off, because basically it's 11 months, right? When you're taking a year off of the sport, whether by choice or by injury, you're rusty. You're most likely rusty. I know there's some fighters out there that disagree with that take. That thing called ring rust exists. There's some fighters that counter that, but the usual norm is that you are rusty. You're not fully there. The gears aren't fully, loose and oiled up. So yeah, I have no issue with the guy coming off a year-long layoff due to injury or choice taking a tune-up. I think that's the norm. That should be accepted until the industry changes that paradigm. I think it's completely fine.
I mean, I agree with the same thing. We were talking about this the other show, and one thing that I'm going to say is that, I start to really think about this whole ring rust thing, right? And like, that's what the camps are for. These guys have been fighting all their lives. I don't know what kind of ring rust they're talking about. And Danny, a guy like Danny that's been on the big stage and quite a few times, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about the whole taking a tune-up when you're at those levels, unless you came off a really bad loss. And I don't think Danny came off a really bad loss. I think it was a close decision. So I think my point of view on that, it's sort of shifting.
I think, Jimmy, I mean, you obviously an amateur fighter. There's been times you probably taken a month or two off from sparring, gone back into sparring, and you feel a little bit off, right? Am I wrong?
Totally right. What I'm saying is that at his level, I'm an amateur, but I'm at his level.
At his level, it's a bit different, I think.
Is it though? I mean, I said it's just a month or two, and it's off for you. Imagine a year off for a A-level athlete. I mean, think about this. Most A-level athletes in any other sport don't take a year off. They don't. Baseball players play almost a year round. Hockey players have 82 games a year. I mean, there's a lot of examples here, or it's not 82. That's basketball. It's like 70-something for hockey. But there's a lot of other sports that have 9-month, 10-month seasons, and they're playing a lot. They're active a lot. If a boxer's off for a year and not fighting for a year, that's a big deal because fighters are usually fighting 2 or 3 or 4 times a year, right? So I mean, I think even for an A-level athlete, it means something.
Matt, let me jump in here and give you guys a different spin. Because you're obviously beating the drum for Danny Garcia, taking a tune-up and kind of being in line with his former self where it's a tune-up big fight. But now I throw the monkey wrench to both you and Doomsday and say, is this a la Tyson Fury? Grabbing the attention of the media at the right time, right before you're about to have a fight, that in fact we don't care about. How do you get us caring about you again? Talk about the guy everyone says everyone's afraid of. Am I right or am I wrong?
I don't think you're wrong. I don't think that's the main reason though behind these quotes. You know what I mean? It may be a contributing factor, but unlike Tyson Fury, Danny Garcia to me has never been one to just say stuff in the media purely for PR purposes. He's a little more natural off the cuff to me in my experiences with him, being around him, being in press conferences with him. He seems like he's just talking and he would deliver some quotes. Tyson Fury to me is, thinking about it preemptively before going into an event. What am I going to say to spark up interest? There's a difference there.
Before we go to Doomy, won't you do us a favor and give out those quotes? We're talking about quotes. Give us those quotes. These quotes.
Yes,
What-
I have the quotes right here. So, according to
really say?
Radio Raheem from Boxing Scene, shout out to him, saying, this is from Danny Garcia, I think that's a great fight for me, talking about Errol Spence. He likes to fight. I like to fight. Like I said, I'll fight anybody. If his name comes across, they want Danny Garcia and Errol Spence to fight, then we'll fight. I think it's a great fight. I like the fight for me. He's a young, hungry kid, and in his head, he thinks he can knock everybody out right now. I know what it feels like to be that young, hungry kid. He has a lot of passion. He's hungry, but he's going to reach a level in the sport where he's going to realize that it don't work that way.
Now,
There's some other quotes. I don't know if you want me to get into them, but that's the gist of it.
I mean, like you said, Matt, most of the stuff that Danny says into the media, when he says some things, it's because he means it or he's thinking about it. And I mean, him saying that stuff, I think it just came out natural, and he really thinks that he has a shot. And I mentioned this to Ness earlier. He's a guy that loves to throw his hard shots, and he'll love to get into a trade-off with the guy so he could get his famous left hook off. You know what I mean? That knocks people out. We all know what it did to Khan. And I'm not saying Errol Spence is a con, but there's a chance there in an exchange that he could definitely do some damage, even though Errol is the bigger guy and
naturally bigger guy.
Yeah, naturally bigger guy, and really he's called for a harder puncher than Danny. So, yeah.
But just to play devil's advocate, I'm not necessarily of this opinion, but just play devil's advocate there. Danny, to me, has always had one kryptonite, a guy that can be on his toes and box and move and give him angles. Errol Spence, while a exceptional boxer, is going to be there in front of him to hit, in my opinion. Because Errol Spence is a guy that doesn't really slip shots. He blocks shots. He parries shots.
I mean, did you see the end of the fight when he fought Lamont Peterson towards the end of the rounds? I saw a little bit of flavor there with Earl, man.
I know, I agree. There's something there, but that's not his.
I hadn't seen before, so
that's not his character though in the ring. He may have that ability, but that's not his natural demeanor in the ring. His natural demeanor in the ring is to walk a guy down and beat him up to the body and beat him up, right? For Danny Garcia, that might be in his wheelhouse. That might be playing into Danny Garcia's hand. And Danny Garcia, let's all be 100% real here, is a tough motherfucker. He can take some shots. So if there's anybody that can play that game with Errol Spence at the top and be successful, maybe it's Danny, purely due to style matchup. And I know I may get some hate for that, but hey, just to give Danny some props here, just play devil's advocate.
Well, since you're playing devil's advocate, I'll say this. Earl's naturally the bigger man. He started his career at 147, where Danny started at 140. Some will say, hey, that's not that much, but Danny's been, staying in 140 pounds all the amateurs and throughout his entire professional career. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but Danny has, since 2015, that he's not fighting at 140 something instead of 147. So,
but Ness,
the size versus Earl is going to be an issue. And I heard Doomsday say, about Danny and his left hook and all that, but it's boxing. What have you done for me lately? He's knocked out the Samuel Vargases of the world and stopped the Paulie Malignaggi's of the world, but Peterson was no stoppage. Guerrero was no stoppage. Thurman was no stoppage. But like you said, Matt, styles make fights. This could be playing right into his style, a la Lucas Matisse coming forward and Danny being able to maneuver and hold and clinch and counter all at the right moments, winning him a good decision win on a big card on the Mayweather and Canelo undercard.
And a couple points to address the size. Danny was the bigger guy against Thurman, right? From my recollection, Danny was the bigger guy against Thurman.
I mean, Thurman's the naturally bigger man.
I mean, technically, but to me, Danny was the bigger guy in the ring there. Danny's size, even though he was a guy coming up from a division below him, is a big 147.
I was just in the camp and I asked Danny, hey, do you get to 170? He said, hell no. I said, oh, because Earl, he starts at he starts camp 177.
True. I'm not saying Earl is not bigger. That size may not be that much of a difference than
you
what
know who else starts at 170? Keith Thurman. Go watch our interview with him.
You know who else starts at 170?
You know who else started at 180?
Who?
Timothy Bradley. When he fought at 140, he would balloon to 180.
That's not surprising. Another guy that balloons up is Terrence Crawford. He goes up to 170. He's talked about that. But there's a reason that when we bring up Danny Garcia, we always count him out against guys like Terrence Crawford. Against a guy like Errol Spence, it may be a little bit different. Again, I think Errol Spence is probably the favorite in that fight for obvious reasons that Doomy has mentioned, that you have mentioned, Ness. But of anyone in the top 3 or 4 in the division right now, maybe style-wise, Earl is the best matchup for Danny. That should be the title route he goes down instead of a Keith fight, just purely based off of styles.
Now, Danny says Earl's going to learn that at this level, you don't knock everybody out.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pretty bold statement, being as though that Earl was able to knock out Lamont and Danny was not.
That was a really bad version of Lamont. I mean, not to discredit the win. That was a win, but like that version of Lamont was lackluster, barely threw, did not seem like he wanted to win. To me, he came in there looking like he got checked. That's what it looked like for me from Lamont. Just being honest. The Lamont that fought Danny was
man, he looked physically fit and peak. I mean,
he always does.
Just would have just changed up the game plan. I mean, I don't know what was going on in that camp as far as like, yeah, we could trade with him. I don't know if they based it off of old school, rounds of sparring when Earl was a lot younger, and I don't know what it was, but I know Lamont Peters is still a great fighter, and I just didn't see it that day, but
Well, Danny fights February 17th. Earl is actually penciled in for June 16th. Essentially 120 days, 119 days away, 4 months. Realistically, we have to factor in history, demeanors, mannerisms. Do we really see this happening June 16th? Is Danny getting a win versus Rios? Is he going to do what we've been seeing now on, hold on. Is he going to do what we've been seeing now on PBC? More WWE style, more calling out of your opponent, more in-ring interactions, more PBC beefs with Jordan Hardy. Is he going to say? Yes. Everybody said, when Jim Gray says, Danny, what are you going to do next now that you got over Brandon? Well, everybody's saying Earl is the most duck or the most feared. Well, I fear no man. I'm coming to his hometown, Dallas. I'll be there June 16th. Is that sound realistic, or am I living in a dream world?
It's not unrealistic. I'll put it this way. For the Thurman fight, that was 4 months after the Samuel Vargas fight. So the timeline shouldn't be an issue. Danny has come back from a tune-up for a big super fight in the division before in that timetable. That should be a non-issue. Put that to the side. Does Danny do that on the mic? I don't know. I mean, the only time we've really seen Danny be animated in the ring like that was when Thurman was in there with him. So if they had Spence in the ring with him, maybe. Maybe you get some sort of action going off. I think it would be smart of Danny. I think that would be a great PR move. Because even if he loses to Earl in a good, tight, competitive fight, imagine what that does for his stock. I mean, you were the one guy that called out Errol Spence in everyone's mind, the boogeyman of the division, and you took him in this hard, close fight, competitive fight. That would, even in a loss, that would do a lot for you. Look at Danny Jacobs, Triple G. There's a reason in the loss you can still have your stock rise up. So I think it would still be good for him to do that.
Well, hey, man, I've been following Luis Collazo's Instagram, and he's pretty vocal that Errol Spence turned him down, Danny turned him down, Keith turned him down. But I guess Collazo's not a big enough name to go down as a guy that isn't ducking Earl. I guess it has to be the top 5 that could only duck.
Maybe. Again, I think I think Danny is going to get a big fight after Brandon Rios, whether that is a Sean Porter, a Keith Thurman, a Errol Spence. He's getting one of those names, in my opinion.
Well, music to my ears. Let's head on out to the sponsors and the phone calls. Listeners, if you want to voice your opinion here on the Voice of the People hotline and let us know what you think about this news, Danny Garcia saying that the Errol Spence fight is a great fight for him and he can possibly make that June 16th date. Hit us up at 1-425-569-5241. Press 1 time. You could also add Nestor Gibbs on Skype internationally and call us absolutely free from anywhere in the world. It's not only international. You could be in Texas using Skype absolutely free and have better audio quality.
These calls are brought to you by El Camino Electrical Services, experts in electric vehicle charging stations. For consultations and turnkey installation, visit us at elcaminoelectricalservices.com.
Going out to Edward in Alabama. Talk to us.
Hey, what's going on, y'all, today? I think you guys are misinterpreting a little bit what Danny Garcia's strengths are at 147. We take the Lamont Pearson fight, the rounds that he lost were the ones where, in the latter part of the fight where Lamont was coming forward, and the rounds that he won when he was fighting Thurman when Thurman was on his bicycle. So I've never seen somebody just dedicate a body attack to Garcia. And I think, to be honest, if you look at the Showtime lineup, it's good that we see him as a name, but that's probably like the worst fight that we saw on that lineup. So I think he's doing it just to keep his name relevant, keep the headlines rolling, kind of use that Errol Spence mentality. Oh, I'll fight him and then look good. And I doubt the fight will happen. That, especially in Dallas, no way.
Edward, thank you for calling in, brother. Well, there you have it, Matt. He doesn't believe it.
I'm not surprised. Most people will not believe it. Danny Garcia perceives himself as a star in the division, as an A side in the division. He probably will continue to want fights in the Barclays Center in his hometown.
Well, he's not in the Barclays Center now, so
his adopted home venue in a sense.
He ain't there now. Let's go out to the phone lines. We got 770-993. 770-993. First time caller.
What's up?
What's up, brother? First time caller?
No, it's Santana.
Man, I'm a first time caller. Ness, listen, Ness, I've been watching your show for so long, bro. Dude, give me the first caller thing.
Will do, brother.
Ladies and gentlemen, making his professional debut.
With a record, it's a perfect one. Tanaris Robinson, man, from Meridian, Mississippi, but I'm living in Georgia right now, man.
Well, how's it going, Tavares? First of all, how's that weather in Georgia?
Oh, man, it's about 50, 55 degrees right now. It's nice out there. But let me tell Matt something. Look, Matt, don't nobody in the welterweight division want to fight Errol Spence, man. And you know that. Everybody just using this man's name to get fame now, because he the top dog. He is the top draw. Ain't he the number one man? Keith Thurman ain't even number two. Keith Thurman can't beat Kell Brook. And you know that.
I don't know that. That's an opinion.
Man, okay, that's all you've been giving out is opinion. But look, this is all I want to say. Danny Garcia, they all had the chance to fight the man. The man said it. They all got the phone call. They didn't answer. And you know, just like I know, we as the boxing public, we've been on here too long calling these folks out for this man.
To be fair, though, those guys that you talk about have said that they have not had the call from Al Heyman, that Errol Spence has not been mentioned as a...
That's hearsay. That's hearsay. That's an opinion.
Isn't it hearsay from Spence? That as well?
Call, man. You done got the phone call, man. You telling me that these boys fighting for money and they ain't getting the phone call?
I'm just saying they said... Errol Spence is saying they did. I mean, who you're believing one side or the other. It's hearsay on either side, right?
Look,
do you have any concrete evidence?
Y'all boy, answer my phone call. Ness, look, I'm glad you losing weight, trying to get in boxing shape. All this, man, look, I'm just happy y'all answer my call. Hold on, Ness, before I get out the phone, I want to tell you something.
Go ahead.
You remember when you had Deontay Wilder, what's my boy Eddie Hearn? You had Tyson Fury all on there. You remember that?
Yes, sir.
That's when they should have had that fight. See, this marinate thing, all that marinating, let a fight marinate, all that for pussies, man. I'm just being honest with you. You can let a fight marinate too long. That's just like a steak you put in the refrigerator, and you can let it marinate too long, man. These boys, we getting tired of this.
No, Tavares, I hear you, brother. Listen, man, thank you for calling in. You're happy. You happy we answered the phone. We happy you called in, brother. So you can continue to call in. Matt, you want to cue the Hans Zimmer intro or what?
I don't have that.
So you're not a man of your word. You told legendary boxer for all the legendary ass whoopings he's giving you verbally on this show, you was gonna Christian him with an intro.
I will Christian with the intro. I need to test it to see if it does not demonetize our videos, though. That's the only thing I'm worried about.
Ooh.
That's the only thing I'm worried about. If it doesn't, then we can do it. But I do need to test it. I have not tested it yet because I've been busy. I'm sorry, legendary boxer. You know, this is a full-time job, and I have other full-time jobs as well.
See how he's coming at you already, legendary boxer?
How am I going to demonetize your video, dude? I mean, come on.
Hans Zimmer has copyright to that song, of course, or PBC does. So yes, they can demonetize the video.
Copyright a fucking theme song they don't even use again. What are you talking about, dude? Come on.
Again, you may not know about copyrights. It's okay.
When a caller calls in, sometimes that's not like your intro song or something. You know, that's what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, Danny Garcia fighting Errol Spence. I mean, I think Danny would fight him, but Angel's not going to let him fight him. And if that happens, it could happen in Vegas. I don't think it has to happen in Barclays. Why Danny doesn't mind fighting in Vegas? He likes fighting in Vegas. That shit would sell out the fucking T-Mobile Arena. Danny's got a big fan base in California and Vegas, I think, with the Mexicans and just in fight fans in general.
Are you going to see the fight with him and Rios?
I'm from Atlanta.
So what? I'm from New York. Or New
I'm
Jersey.
not going to Vegas to fight Rios, but how come Atlanta? Don't you think they should? That's a pretty big market. They could somewhere in Georgia.
Not for Danny though.
I know. What do you guys think about Crawford's coach? His interview with Dante's Boxing Nation. He said, "If we ever get our hands on Spence, we're going to tear him a new asshole." Did you guys hear that?
Yeah, I saw that.
Quote for sure.
Yeah, I saw that.
What do you guys think about that?
I say talk is cheap.
Yeah, I know he's fucking cherry picking Jeff Horn, and they're talking shit about Spence, man.
And then they're lining up Benavidez. It don't sound like Earl to me.
If it's not Benavidez, who do you guys think it is? Who do they have at 147 to fight besides Alvarado? Manny's not going to take that shit. Besides Alvarado, who do they have?
Oliver Kurdiev.
And that Panamera kid, right?
Yeah.
They've been telling him to duck Spence like 2 or 3 times, probably saving him, like gift wrapping him for some fucking Crawford, another cherry, just like Delorme or fucking Dier Jean or some shit. Fuck, man, I'm like so fucking tired of Crawford bullshit ass, and he's happy with all this shit.
Yeah, but wait, because you see, that's where I get off your little
hate train,
crazy boat that you got going on. Like, yeah, Delorme ain't the goods.
Even though he beat you.
Lundy was moving up. You know what I mean? But
Gamboa was moving up.
But
Jean, who's a Dier Jean guy?
He was moving up. But he had already fought Lamont Peterson, remember? But yeah, I mean, like, he still has legitimate wins like
Postal,
the Felix guy. You know, even
don't you think Brooke and Peterson would beat Postol pretty easily?
Even the Gamboa win, bro. Even the Gamboa win, because at the time, it's what he did to Gamboa and how. You know, remember Salido didn't do that.
Twice.
Listen,
he was like had skating legs.
Yeah, but Salido didn't do that. Salido didn't do that, man. Salido had Gamboa a long time ago, and he didn't do that. Salido took away Lopez's career, and when he tried to do it to Gamboa put him down.
Crawford
like
was so much
times.
bigger though. Spence would have laid him out in like 5 rounds.
Possibly, but Spence didn't do what Crawford did. Crawford decided to suck down and wait. Spence could have did it, he didn't do it. Crawford's been fighting while Spence was in the Olympics. Crawford was already fighting. So you know, you're asking Spence to do something that you know he could have done, but actually, could he? Why didn't he make the weight? Why didn't he turn pro back then?
Did you watch Eddie Hearn's dad's interview on? I don't know if I already asked you this in the last call, but on Seconds Out, he said AJ versus Wilder is not next. Did you watch that?
I did not watch that.
Can you do a video about that? At least they're now openly admitting AJ versus Wilder is not next, and they're like, well, I think it needs to marinate. He said the exact same thing Oscar did.
We can definitely look into it. I have no issue with it.
It's the title of the video is Wilder is making a mistake. It's on Seconds Out channel. Please check it out. All right, guys. That's all I had to say. Thank you.
All right, brother. Well, let's get out to Jay Will in Ohio.
If you know like I know, you should lie low. Killer, I used to get it in Ohio.
Yeah, man. This show, man. Shouldn't have work, man. Yo, man. You know I'll be at your boy Danny's neck, man, because he's a what you call a prima donna. You know what I mean? He's a character, man. But I just these are just words, man. He's just saying things that sound good. I don't know if y'all remember this, but when he first came to the division of 147, he said Sean Porter was made for him. Has he fought Sean Porter yet? I don't think so. So, I mean, but Danny Garcia, man, it's coming to the point, man, unless you actually see it, it's just him talking, man, because, Porter showed up at his post-conference calling him out, and he proved he didn't want no smoke. So, these are just facts, man. And I guess to piggyback on the last thing I was talking about as far as Terrence Crawford, man, that's funny. I mean, say he's going to tear Errol Spence into the asshole. And I don't know if guys think Legendary Boxing or whatever say that Terrence Crawford he's cherry picking Jeff Horn. Jeff Horn has a belt last time I checked. So if you come into a division off top to get a belt, that's always a good thing, no matter who got the belt. They ready to get in the ring with you. You get in the ring with him and you take that belt. Use that as a bargaining chip, against other fighters. But I can't wait to see Terrence Crawford against, some of the people.
Guess they're not giving him enough credit. I'm not to interrupt you. I guess they're not giving him enough credit for the way he got the belt, I guess, right?
I mean, if you look at the Jeff Horn Pacquiao fight with an objective eye, he really was being physical with Manny Pacquiao. I mean, it wasn't like as Teddy Atlas made it seem some big outcries and he was really robbed. It was competitive. I had it scored for Manny Pacquiao myself, but I had it close. And even Terrence Crawford said that, I guess in his little interview with Yahoo Sports, he said he scored up for Manny Pacquiao as well, but it was a close competitive fight. And just like as I saw, he seen that Jeff Horn was manhandling Manny Pacquiao. He was in there getting real physical with him. Manny Pacquiao didn't look that good. And when Manny Pacquiao would hit him, he wouldn't move Jeff Horn like he would normally fight. So it's just, I mean, it wasn't that bad of a look. But yeah, man. Then until Danny Garcia, man, to drop another album or another little hit song or whatever, man.
Jay Will ending it with some hate. Tell him drop another song, he says.
Another thing, I want to piggyback off. the Terrence Crawford boxer. People always say like, "Oh, this fighter beats all the guys that this guy fought," but then they never do the flip side. Like, you don't think Terrence Crawford would have beat Chris Algieri, or Leonard Bundu, or Phil LaGreco? Like, I mean, we never really have that debate on both sides. I mean, let's, for the callers, be objective here, for everyone, like, it's not just for boxers, for everyone, when you come in riding against one side, even on your own, in your head, start thinking about the counter side. Always think about different perspectives, because there are different perspectives.
That's Matt's final thoughts right there. End it on that, Matt. Just throw out your social media on that.
Yes, I'm Matt. Matt Hipster. You can find me at Mixed Combat News on Twitter, Matt Hunter TBV on Instagram. Mixed Combat Radio is my my MMA radio show on Patreon, YouTube, SoundCloud, iTunes, etc. Peace.
Doomy.
You can catch me on Facebook at Alexander Lainez. Twitter, Alex Lainez TBV, IG, Alex_Doomsday_Lainez.
Yeah, what weed do you guys have over there? Because you both are like really sluggy today.
What's up with Mr. Blake talking about these dudes always hating on Earl? They always hating on Earl.
How we hating on Earl?
He just an Earl Power Ranger. That's what he is.
When we saying Earl,
what you the Earl Green Power Ranger or you the Earl Red Power Ranger?
I don't get these guys.
Y'all listen, I'm your host, Nestor Gibbs. Find me on Instagram and Twitter at NestGTO. Be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel right here. You never know when we're going back with the show. We might be right back talking about Crawford's trainer. Somebody gonna tear Earl a new asshole. You just don't know since y'all hating. Bye.